Hi, good afternoon, Professor Winkler. Name's Alex Lames. This is going to be my persuasive speech for Speech 1321. I'm using Microsoft Teams for this, and I have the minimum three audiences, which is my wife, my brother, and my sister. I'm going to start the time once I start the speech. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay, go. 13,808,626 infected people. That's from 188 countries and territories with over 590,000 deaths. Over 590,000 deaths. Please let that sink in of how important that is. That we're talking about over 500,000 people on a world population level that's died from coronavirus. What I'm going to persuade and what I want you guys to practice is to wear a mask after I explain the facts and cases and how the coronavirus can be mitigated as far as transmission, and how is it lessened as far as the cases and deaths that we experience right now. Coronavirus is transmitted through respiratory droplets, either by coughing, talking, sneezing, and when it gets into the air and gets absorbed by another person through their eyes, nose, mouth, then it's going to be inside their respiratory system, and they're going to be infected too. That's how it's directly linked on how the coronavirus is spread. The other one is indirectly, which is the surface. If we touch a surface that has coronavirus, then we touch our mouth, our nose, and our eyes, we can get infected that way also. That's indirectly. The mitigation measures that we're taught by the experts, the medical experts, is to lock down and shelter in place, practice social distancing, wash your hands, and then wear a personal protective equipment such as masks. That includes cloth face coverings. Now, the type of masks that would help, that are effective in lessening the transmission of coronavirus are an N5 respirator, a surgical mask, and these are just examples of a face mask, a face shield, and then a cloth face covering. The most effective is N95 mask and then a surgical mask. But we want to limit this to our frontliners in the hospitals and clinics. We don't want this to be used as an everyday thing because we don't want a shortage of that. We need the frontliners to treat those people that have the worst symptoms that needs to be in the hospitals and in intensive care units. This is an important case study that was conducted in Missouri by the Centers for Disease and Control and also by the Mortality Weekly Report in Missouri. Now, this case study shows two hairstylists that are infected by the virus. What this case study would show is the hairstylists and then the customers were following the guidelines of the county, which mandates them to wear masks. Even when they were infected, the hairstylist still did the business. What they're conducting, a closed business with doing a hairstyling. The customers are also wearing masks, and then the studies that they found was with 84% of all those customers, they reported no symptoms. And those are the ones that were contacted after the study, after 90 days, if they felt any symptoms after they went to the hairstylist. Zero customers interviewed developed symptoms of illness. And then 48% of customers who volunteered to be tested all tested negative for the COVID-19. We're talking about 48% of the volunteers that had tested. 48%, that's almost half of the customers got tested. Zero 0 positive cases because they were wearing masks and doing all the guidelines that were given as far as washing hands and social distancing when they can. In this setting, they were wearing masks, and we can see how effective that is. Why is that important? Well, when you wear a mask, then you lessen the virus transmission. What we don't want to do is to overwhelm our hospitals and intensive care units. This is a direct quote from Dr. John Sinotti of the University of South Florida College of Medicine. When hospitals and healthcare assistants talk about surge capacity, they're often talking about a single event. But what we have right now is the equivalent of a bus accident a day, every day, and just keeps adding, end quote. The context of that is just overwhelming our hospitals and ICUs. We don't want that to happen. If we do our part, we will lessen and prevent that from happening. In summary, coronavirus is primarily transmitted by respiratory droplets. It's either directly or indirectly transmitted, and that's how it infects people. And then it can be mitigated by social distancing, washing hands, and wearing masks and facial coverings. Masks and facial coverings provide certain protections, and wearing a mask or covering can lessen transmission. In summary, wearing a covering saves lives. My final thought is a quote from Dr. Anthony Fauci, director of NIAID's, American Physician and Immunologist. And I quote, "When you have crowds of people together and you have the lack of wearing a mask that increases the risk of there being transmittability, I have no doubt about that." That, to me, in my summary for that quote, is to wear a mask, because wearing a mask protects lives, not just yours, but also others. The most important thing to do for us right now, when we go around doing our normal business, is to do our part and be responsible enough to wear a mask, because it saves lives. This is a cloth face mask. These are certain examples too. Please wear a mask so that prevent the transmission of this disease. Thank you.